Welcome to the Remington Podcast, where we take a deep dive into all things ammunition. Today, I am live on the 2025 NRA floor with Peter Churchborne, who works for NRA.
Hello, it's so great to be here.
Yeah, what do you do for NRA, Peter?
I am the managing director of the Hunting, Conservation, and Ranges Division, and also the managing director of the Hunters Leadership Forum.
That is a mouthful.
It is. It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, what do you guys have going on?
It's a lot of fun. So much. You know, it's so funny. I get asked this all the time. Why does the NRA do anything for hunting? Because everyone knows about our Second Amendment advocacy, and that's what gets all the headlines.
Yeah.
But the NRA was started in 1871.
Wow.
So 154 years ago. And one of the 5 founding principles of the organization when it was started way back then was that we would support and advocate for hunting. It says it much better than that, but that's how I know it.
Paraphrase.
Yes. So that's why we were involved. So we have had a hunting division for a long time. And so, for example, a lot of people don't know that the NRA was the organization that started hunter education in the United States.
I didn't know that.
Yep. In 1949, the state of New York was the first state to mandate that hunters had some type of hunter safety education. And at that time, we already had a group of trainers throughout the country that was teaching basic gun safety. So it just made sense for them to partner with us. So we wrote the first ever curriculum for hunter safety. And that was used almost exclusively for 26 years in the United States to train the hunters. If I had my portfolio with me, I actually have a hunter education card that we gave out from the 1950s.
Okay, like you still have that one
Yeah,
from
I have,
the 1950s?
Yeah, it's not mine. I wasn't around. I'm old, but I'm not that old. Typical guy in this industry that's old.
Yeah.
So I have that card, and it's a cool historical piece. But so we taught hunter ed exclusively for almost 26 years. And then there was a change in Pittman-Robertson funding.
Okay.
So hopefully everyone knows about Pittman-Robertson. That funds conservation in America. So in the mid-'70s, they added a tax on pistols and revolvers. So when they added that tax, they also changed the allocation of how state agencies could use that money. And one of it was hunter education. So then there was money available for state wildlife agencies to start their own hunter education divisions.
Okay.
So we then phased out what we were doing, and hunter education got more complicated. They started to add in tree stand stuff and stuff that was beyond just basic firearm safety and fields of fire. And then fast forward to 2015, we were getting into some different training at the NRA and looking at online learning management systems.
Okay.
And that's when I came into the NRA in 2015. So we started to investigate the best way to learn online. And we were about to open up at that time a blended learning for our pistol courses.
Like asynchronous kind of thing?
Yeah, it was before that it was all instruction in person, and then we were going to make half of it be online, and then you take your certificate and you go finish it out with
and you shoot
instructor.
in person.
Yeah, exactly right. So we found these really cool methods of how to deliver education online. And so serendipitously, at the same time, we had an executive that had never hunted. And they said, hey, go to Churchborne. He knows how to hunt. He'll take you. So I said, well, first you got to get your hunter safety. And in Virginia, he looked online, and the closest in-person course was 7 hours away, and it was in 3 months. And I was like, well, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
I guess they have this online option. Take that. So it was a for-profit vendor that partnered with the state, and I check in with him a couple days a week and say, how's it going? Look over his shoulder at the course, and it was bad.
Oh, really?
It was not awesome.
Okay.
But at the same time, we were looking at these online opportunities, and I was like, bingo, we can do better.
We can just make this what's already set up better.
You bet.
Yeah.
So we then went through a large process for a couple of years, putting an RFP out, interviewing companies, and then we decided to do it. Through the funding of our foundation and other great supporters like Cabela's, they gave us a bunch of money to help us do this. We developed the best-in-class, free, fun online course that's delivered today in America for free. And it's interactive, it's intuitive, and we are currently in 14 states. And we're actually going into Georgia and Louisiana and maybe Iowa in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
So if you are in those states, you can go to their state wildlife agency and take hunter education for free.
That is so awesome.
Yep. To date, we have certified about 250,000 Americans and a savings to them of about $8 million.
Wow.
So they didn't have to pay a vendor for it. And it's all delivered absolutely for free.
Yeah.
And you would think, oh, it's free. It's probably not that great of a course. It is awesome. I mean, it's so modern. We partnered with an instructional designer, and I didn't know an instructional designer when I started this. When I was in school, we didn't have computers in college. Just we're getting into getting computers. So
you sure that license isn't yours? I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Not that old. And so instructional design is the science of how we learn online. So everything from the size of the text to the how someone reads you the voiceover to how long the video is to how big the font is. All matters in how we learn it, retain it, and then regurgitate it later. So these people are the experts at it. And they had a proprietary tileized learning management system where most learning management system is like a PowerPoint presentation. Something comes up, you read it or watch it, and then you click a button and you move to the next one. Kind of boring.
Right.
Well, this is totally different. It's a tileized LMS, so the student gets to choose their path on that page. It's a little more exciting and interactive. The longest screen time that our students have is 2.5 minutes. So they have to be on the course. They just can't press a video and walk away, come back 10 minutes later.
And press next.
You got it. They're getting better education because they're sitting in front of it and they're interacting with it. We have gamification on the course. It's really cool.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I got my Hunters in Education twice. The first time when I was 12.
Okay.
And then I took it in high school.
Got it.
So they offered it in our high school as a class.
That's great.
Which
What
was
state?
awesome. Texas.
Texas, great.
Yeah.
We're actually working with a group right now. We're meeting on Friday, next Friday, to talk about there's a bunch of states that want to start that. And it's a great opportunity for kids if they would offer that in the schools.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I remember, learning all about Wildlife 1, all about my state's rules too, and then learning how to properly handle a firearm.
You bet.
So it's great. I mean, the first semester you got your hunter safety, the second semester you got your boater's license.
Yeah.
So it was a
great.
weird combination,
so
but it
great
worked
that
out.
they did that.
Yeah, it was like a hunting and fishing combo in your ag class.
Yeah,
is what it was.
That was great. Boater education too. I have not heard that in school. That's awesome.
Yeah, Lavernia. Shout out Lavernia High School.
All right.
But yeah, the online version sounds really good, especially after times like COVID, where more people are learning online anyways.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's great.
Yep. Everybody obviously had to learn online during COVID for hunter education. So that really, even back when we first launched this course in 2017, the IHEA, the International Hunter Education Association, they're the governing body of hunter ed in America. So they write the standards and they keep track of this stuff. So even back then, about 50% of students in America were already taking it online. And now it's increased. COVID, obviously, that year and a half or 2 years, everybody had to take it online if you wanted to take hunter education. And that has bumped up the numbers. Yeah.
And is there, I mean, it's all about social science, but you said that you're setting parameters for people to absorb it. Have you, I mean, I guess there's no way to measure, but have you seen better tests taking or something like that?
We have not tested that.
Okay,
no,
gotcha.
No, we have not. And that we would have to, I guess, compare that to the other options out there, but we haven't gone into that yet. But we do know through the, because when myself and a gentleman by the name of Matt Fleming, Matt, shout out, worked for the NRA for a long time, is the most accomplished bow recurve hunter I know.
Wow.
Oh my God. He's shot probably 30, 155 plus whitetails.
Oh my gosh.
Between Iowa and Maryland. And he's just a string bow. You got to be close and you got to know your trade, and he is good at it.
That's awesome.
He's a savant.
I mean, talk about having to know the way an arrow flies.
You bet.
Yeah.
And an activity of a deer to get him within 12 yards every time. Yeah, good. So Matt and I developed this course, and while we were writing the curriculum, and we had other I'm not a writer, other people that helped us actually sound intelligent. We monitored a bunch of in-person hunter education courses, and none of them together combined had the curriculum that we delivered in our online course. So that's the nice thing about online, is that every student will get the same education every single solitary time.
Yeah.
Now, I am not against in-person classes. No. If you could take your son or daughter to the best instructor in the planet, I still think in-person is better than online.
Yeah.
And I'm advocating for my course, but still, that connection is better if you've got a good hunter education teacher.
Yeah.
But it's busy lives, families, it's hard these days. So online is an option that works for some people.
Yeah, that's great.
And free is great.
And even, people who want to get into hunting that maybe their family doesn't.
Right.
Maybe their parents aren't
There's
big
a lot of that right now.
Right.
There's a lot of that going on where and that's a barrier because the children don't have access to get to a place. So they can't drive.
Right.
And that's problematic. That's a barrier.
But nowadays, everyone's got a computer. Everyone's got a smartphone.
You bet.
So works out. That's great. I love to hear that kind of stuff, kind of innovation in our own industry.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, and it's funny, I just did a podcast with the instructional designer, Alan Com, when we talked about that, because our course made the for-profit vendors have to do better.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they had really not invested in their course because they were the only game in town.
Right.
But now, and I'm all for capitalism. So when we partner with a state, we don't make them just take our course. If someone wants to take a vendor course, go right ahead. But they've had to make their courses better because ours were so good.
Because they have to compete a little bit.
You got it.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
That's great.
It made it better for everybody.
Yeah, that's great. I hear also that you're doing some work against, I don't know if you would call them anti-hunters, but people who aren't really into hunting and don't really agree with it.
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So under the Hunters Leadership Forum, that was started at the NRA 2015, and we got some individuals that were concerned about the future of hunting in America, that we put together a fund of about $10 million that we wouldn't have to dip into the receipts from the NRA, because we got to fight for that Second Amendment advocacy. It's very important. And these individuals just wanted to make a fund so we could use that money to do stuff just for hunting. So we did some research on American attitudes towards hunting. And we did mostly in-person focus groups. So one-on-one, all races and creeds and age groups in these geographical regions around the United States, where we asked them questions. These were 6 and 7 hour long focus groups.
Right.
Gained a lot of information about what people's attitudes were towards hunting and hunters. And during those interactions, we were able to ask them questions. So if someone came in and said, I don't like hunters because they have made animals go extinct. So we would say...
Just in general. That's
just in general.
Say, yeah.
And we would say, so if we told you and we could prove to you that hunters actually did the opposite. We actually brought them back from almost extinction levels. Would you support hunting? And people were like, well, of course. If you could say that was true, I would support you.
You're like, well, joke's on you, I can prove it.
Yeah, okay. So just know. So we learned so much about what they were learning and what their thoughts were. So, and then we quantified that a couple years, over the next couple of years with some online surveys, because any good research always asks questions and you got to figure it out again. Long and short of it, we came up with this book called How to Talk About Hunting. It's a research resource book. It's 200 pages. If you want to fall asleep, it's a great one. But it has a lot of good information in it. And I got through college on Cliff Notes. So we made sure at the end of every chapter, we summarized the chapter. So it was the best.
Yes.
So if you find those books, it's so funny, they're free. I saw one for sale on Amazon the other day for like $35. Like, who's selling this book? I give these things away. So mostly we gave them to state wildlife agencies, NGOs like Ducks Unlimited, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, anybody who wanted one, to learn what non-hunters think about hunters so that we can improve our communication strategy.
Yes, yeah.
And so I do this dissertation and people go, Why do we care? Why do we care what non-hunters think about us? And it's amazing. You and I are in the industry. We know the facts and figures. But the majority of hunters in the country surround themselves with people like them. So they think everybody hunts.
Right.
But the facts is that only about 4.5% of the American population hunts.
Yep.
And when I tell that to people, they're like, no way.
I believe it.
That's true. It's absolutely true. So it's very important that they understand the facts about us because we do so many good things. So we learned a lot of good things about hunting and hunters and how we can better portray ourselves and what I call cultural protectance of hunting. Making sure we're not trying to turn those people into hunters. We just want to make sure they understand what we do. So if they're given the opportunity to vote for or against, they vote for.
Especially with the whole ballot box biology and everything coming up, like people who don't hunt need to understand our way of life. Yeah.
I call it triple B, and it's the worst for us. Look what happened just in Colorado with the anti-cat initiative. You can't manage wildlife populations on emotion. You have to manage them on science.
Science and science alone.
So,
yeah, no, it's definitely important for us to connect with the people who maybe don't live our lifestyle. Just understanding people is like the cornerstone of life.
Right. Exactly right. Where they come from, how they think about things, their processes. Very important.
Yeah. And like you said, like, you don't need to come shoot an animal. It's okay.
Right.
But you have to accept that I do.
Exactly right.
That's great.
Yeah, it was really cool. So the major things that we learned that they didn't understand, that we learned that if we taught them the truth, they were apt to support us. And the number one thing was that we actually eat the meat and we use it to feed those less fortunate. Once they learned that, they were 99% likely to support our activities. So if you're out there and you're having a conversation with somebody who doesn't hunt, it's important to tell them that you actually use, and there are laws that require you to use the meat. Wanton waste laws. We have to harvest that meat and take it out of the field. And then go one step further. We started something years ago called Wild Game Meat Donation Month to celebrate the use of wild game meat. And this past November, it's every November, I wrote a couple articles for other magazines, and we talked about take it one step further. Don't just donate some game meat or money to these great organizations, Hunters for the Hungry. Cook a meal for somebody who doesn't hunt, and then share your story while you're cooking that meal or over dinner. They'll help understand why you do what you do.
Yeah, show your connection to your food, to your harvest, to the landscape. Definitely. I love that initiative. Also, hunting stories are the pinnacle of our culture. So,
exactly right. Storytelling is it's a great art.
Yeah, it's a great tool too. And we met a while ago, but we went on that deer hunt out in Missouri, and we shot some deer, and I'm pretty sure we donated some meat too from that.
We did, absolutely. That's actually in Missouri. The Hunters Leadership Forum donates $30,000 to their Hunters for the Hungry program so that they can process the wild game, and they make these things called meat sticks for their buddy packs. So kids that are food insecure in Missouri get to take home a pack of food for the weekend, which is so sad. And it's filled with 2 ounces of protein, a couple of these sticks. So we pay to have that processed and made so they put into the buddy packs.
They can take them. And it's so lean and so good for you.
Oh my God. It's organic. Nature's protein.
It's
100%. The best.
And it's easy for kids, like easy for youth to eat these meat sticks because they look like Slim Jims almost.
Exactly right.
So they're not afraid. So it's great.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if this is part of y'all's program, but we have at every processor in Arkansas that I've been to, there is a donation.
That's
if you
awesome.
bring it to them, you're just like, I don't actually want it. They don't make you pay for it.
Right. That's great.
You literally just drop it off and they donate it. So,
So that's part of the Hunters for the Hungry initiative.
Yes.
And there in the United States, there's about 44 distinct organizations that are all set up under 501c3s. They're individual groups. They work very hard, tirelessly on minuscule budgets to take that whole deer, have it processed, and then they take that processed meat to a food bank and they distribute it to the community. We did another study on that in 2022, 2 different ones. One specifically to the 44 processors. We had 36 answer our big long survey, and then we talked to 5,005 hunters on their wild game meat usage.
Yep.
And we were able to ascertain that about 660 million pounds of wild game meat is harvested in the United States annually.
That is a lot of meat.
Yep.
Yeah.
You think about that, how many meals that is. So an average protein meal is a quarter pound. That's a lot of meals. We're not deforesting. We're not having to grow crops. We're not having to do it's reoccurring nature protein on the landscape.
Right.
And we're only harvesting the biological surplus. So by harvesting that and eating that, we're making the ecosystems healthier.
Right.
And we're paying to do it.
Yeah.
Hunters are paying a fee that then is helping the state wildlife agency do their job.
Yep.
And when if you have time to teach that to a non-hunter, there's no way they can not support us.
No, and another thing that I like to point out is what I feel like a lot of non-hunters don't understand also is if you get rid of just like public hunting in general, we still have to take care of those populations. So the wildlife agencies are still going to have to go out and take care of it.
Absolutely.
So it just makes more sense to allow the public to do it.
Yep.
And then we can,
Absolutely.
like get the benefits of harvesting those animals. Yeah.
Somebody's going to have to do it.
Right.
It's a perfect example of the cat ban in California.
Yeah.
That happened, I think, back in the 80s. And so when we were looking at this cat ban that was going to happen in Colorado, they thought they were saving the cats.
Right.
Well, California has issued just as many cat tags to state wildlife agents, biologists, or U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services contracted shooters because unmanaged cats are going to go eat something.
Yep.
They're going to end up eating your dogs, your cats, or pulling down a jogger.
Right.
So they're going to have to be managed. Why not sell a tag for it so that you can provide funding for the agency to help the overall population?
Yeah, of those cats, of their landscape where they live.
The habitat.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is most important.
So we're actually saving the land and the animals, guys.
You got it.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for meeting me. How has your turkey season been going?
I've only been out 2 days.
Okay.
Work.
Me too.
Work.
Yeah.
First day we had Virginia is where I'm from. It was cold, rainy for the first 2 days. So I went out. I had one morning to do it. And I went out to a place where we have a pile of turkeys. And I set up where I'm always hearing turkeys. And sure enough, I try not to force them. I want them to do it on their own.
Yeah.
So I don't go in there and owl hoot unless I have to push it, rush a hunt. I just want to let them organically do it themselves. So one gobbled all by his own. It was like 80 yards from me. I was like, ooh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
So I was answering back. And then this piece of property, unfortunately, probably has a hen to tom ratio of like 12-1.
Oh my gosh.
And then within 5 minutes of me calling, I can hear the wings come down, and I've got like 4 hens in my lap that bust me, and game over.
Oh my gosh. And you hate when that happens.
Yeah.
Still get to interact with wildlife, so it's great, but
fun.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then I went out the other day, same place, and didn't hear a peep. Nothing. Nobody talked. No.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I went out South Arkansas, which Arkansas is. I want to take the best turkey hunter in America, 100%.
Yeah.
And I want to put them in South Arkansas.
And see how they do.
If they can harvest a tom, I will deem them the best turkey hunter in America.
Do your birds not gobble a lot, or
they're
what
quiet?
are they?
Well, our season got pushed back, so the opener was April 21st.
Okay.
Yes. And they so the season got pushed back. They don't talk.
Yeah.
And there's not very many of them.
Right.
So, I swear, down there we're hunting on, and it's private land, so it's not like it's...
But
we're not being competitive.
Get messed with, right, yeah.
So it's, maybe 250 acres that we're hunting on down there, and we're probably all hunting for the same 2 legal toms.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But why is the population low? Has it always been that way?
I hear stories of, 10 to 20 years ago, the population was amazing, and now it's not so much.
Right.
This season specifically, it rained a ton. So the night before the opener, it flooded. And so they're all, in the roost, probably
cold,
waiting
wet.
for it to dry. But it's also washing out nests.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's just weird. It's a weird year for us.
Yeah. They have and a wet turkey is easy to get a predator to find it. A wet turkey stinky, so it's easy for whatever's going to go after it to find it, and he leaves a lot of scent on the nest, so it's easier for raccoons or possums, whatever, to find that nest.
To find the nest, yeah. Got to protect the nest. They're ground nesters. So
you do. Yeah.
But I went sat for 2 days. I mean, not sat for 2 days, but I went and hunted 2 days. Right. Sat for probably 16 hours total.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm one of those people who, I walk into the woods, I roost the night before.
Right.
So I know their general area.
Right, yeah.
So I walk into the area, I call, right?
Yeah.
And then I sit there and I wait.
Yeah.
So I literally sat under a tree. Oh my gosh, yeah.
You were deer hunting.
Yeah, it was. Deer hunting for a bird, yeah. But, because that's my skill set. I'm not a turkey hunter.
Right,
so I'm just doing what I know.
Yeah.
And the whole time, 16 hours, whatever, I hear one hen one time.
Oh, my goodness.
One hen.
That's dedication.
One time.
That's dedication.
I was like, I'm going to get this turkey this year.
That's good. Good for you. Well, we're out of this show. You can go back and hopefully you have more time.
Not scheduled, but I will try to make time.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
The 2 days was kind of it. I hunt 2 days a year. For turkeys.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have to change that.
I know. I need to up those numbers
There's
for
a place
sure.
in Alabama we could probably go.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What do you usually, everyone has their selection when it comes to turkey ammunition. I personally shoot copper-plated lead.
Okay.
I don't have a TSS choke. That's probably one of the reasons. But do you reach for like TSS lead or copper plated?
TSS guy.
You're a TSS guy, yeah.
I was before that a heavy shot guy, and then I tested some TSS, and boy, that stuff is woof.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
killer.
Somebody's making a 10 shot in a TSS load.
Oh, okay.
So it's 10. So it's tiny little granulars, but TSS is so
and it
much,
keeps its pattern so well.
It's got so much more downrange density.
Yeah.
And velocity. I don't know what, I'm not a
I'm not an ammo guy. Yeah.
ammo guy. But so they could make a smaller pellet.
Yeah.
So it's like flak.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. So it's I love that. And so many people are going to a 410. I shoot a 10 gauge for my turkeys.
Oh my gosh. You shoot TSS out of a 10 gauge?
Yep.
That's crazy. How's your shoulder?
Actually, I shoot it's an old Remington.
Really?
SP10. I love that gun.
Wow.
I have like 5 of them. You don't make it anymore.
No.
And I use it as my goose gun.
Yeah.
And everybody who shoots my gun, that's why they don't make it. So when I see one that's decent on Gunbroker, I buy it.
Yeah.
Because I got to buy parts.
Right.
I have parts. But
strip it apart, put on yours.
You got it. Yeah. Because it's hard to find parts nowadays. But it's an awesome gun. Remington, please start making that gun again. You will sell it.
Yeah.
Because everybody who shoots my gun, they call it, the gun's so heavy, it's 10 pounds.
Yes, because it's a 10 gauge.
A 3.5 inch 12 gauge will sting you.
Yeah.
But they call my gun a gentle shove. Because,
no way.
Yes, because it's just so heavy. It absorbs the recoil. And everyone's like, I got to get one of these things. Because for geese, it's a knocker downer.
Yeah.
It is all, you can reach up. And the turkeys too. So I travel a lot to turkey hunt.
Yeah.
And so I may have 1 or 2 days in a state. This year I'm going to do Montana, Alabama. Actually, right after this, I'm going to Alabama Sunday night. I'll do New Hampshire this year and then Virginia. So I want to be successful if I go.
Yeah.
So if that bird hangs up at 50, 55 yards.
You need to reach it.
That 10 gauge will reach it.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. You at least have a strap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
On
course.
the gun? Because that's a heavy gun to just tote.
It goes right around my shoulder to carry
great.
it. It is a heavy gun to tote.
Yeah. We have several guys actually trying to do the challenge where you harvest a turkey with every gauge of gun.
Oh, that's a new slam.
Yeah.
Nice.
A new kind of slam.
Well, you could you've got to do all the way up the 5 or 6
you got
different.
410, 28, 16, 12, 20, 10.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of them are missing 10 gauge. I know that we have one 10 gauge in between our groups.
Got it.
So they're like passing it around. So everyone's trying to gain that new slam.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the 10 gauge is crazy to me. Especially I've shot TSS out of a 12 gauge.
Right.
It's not soft.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So,
no, it's not.
But I guess the heavy gun makes sense.
It makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
Well, if we go turkey hunting, I'll bring my 10 gauge and you can shoot it.
Heck yeah. That'd be great. Thank you so much. And thanks for meeting with us. I know that you are an NRA guy, so you're really busy this weekend. So I appreciate it.
I'm so glad that this was serendipitous that we got to do this today.
I know. It's been great. Yeah. Thank you so much for the information.
Yeah,
I know that
problem.
I learned something, so I hope you guys did.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on. This is a great podcast.
Yeah, thank you. There you have it, guys. Remington is on the rise. Like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to share this podcast with your hunting or shooting buddies. If you have any questions for me or Peter here, you can email us at podcast@remington.com. Thank you.